Hello and welcome to today's session. Today we're looking at the skeletal muscles, types of muscles, guys. How many muscles did we say are found in the human body? 639 muscles, and mostly of them are skeletal muscles. So the study objectives for this session is that we need to be able to describe what a skeletal muscle is, a muscle cell, describe the criteria used to name skeletal muscles, and also, explain how understanding the muscle names helps describe the shapes, location, and actions of various muscles. So some terminologies, guys. An abductor, this is a muscle that moves the bone away from the midline. An adductor, it moves the bone towards the midline. When you hear bi, it means two. Brevis means short. Extensor, this is a muscle that increases the angle at the joint, while a flexor is a muscle that decreases the angle at the joint. Lateralis means to the outside part. Longus means long. Maximus is the largest. Medialis is to the inside of the body. The medius is the medium. Minimus is the smallest. Oblique, it means at an angle. Rectus is straight, and tri is 3. Looking at a skeletal muscles will be having at least 6 parts. If you look at number 6, here is the bone, followed by the tendon. Then it's covered by the epiphyseum. This connective tissue is referred to as the epiphyseum. Then you have the perimecium. Okay. Then we have the fibrils. Okay, the fibrils, number 4. And then we have now the fascicles. Okay, those are at least the basic parts of a muscle fiber. Muscle fibers, these are individual muscle cells. They are normally cylindrical and long, and they contain several nuclei. So they are multi-nucleated. These muscle fibers are wrapped with a cell membrane, and this cell membrane we refer to it as the sarcolemma. So inside each muscle fiber, there are tiny rods that we normally refer to as myofibrils or just fibrils. So these fibrils consist of repeating segments that we refer to as sarcomeres. Remember, sarcomeres are tiny units that are responsible for muscle contraction. Okay? Okay, guys, so this you can be able to take a break and name the different parts of this muscle fiber. Okay, so the structure of a sarcomere, which is responsible for the contractions, so shows the zigzag sections that normally mark the end of each of the sarcomere. So we have the Z discs or the Z lines, and they allow the attachment for the thin actin filaments as well as an elastic protein that we refer to it as tinitin. So each sarcomere contains a thin actin filaments and the thick myosin filaments. So the thin actin filaments anchor to the Z discs, whereas the thick myosin filaments, they attach to an elastic spring protein called or referred to as the tinitin, which then attaches to the Z disc. The actin and myosin filaments normally engage during muscle contraction. We have the M lines or the M bands, which normally anchor the center of the myosin filaments, holding them together while also acting as a shock absorber for that one. So you can see you have the thick myosin filaments, the thin filaments, and the elastic tinitin filament. Okay, then the myofibril having the thick myosin filament. We have the Z disc, the H zone, the H disc, and the M line, the one that helps as a shock absorber. So you find that the sarcomere normally is divided into bands that we have shown, and the arrangement of these filaments within these bands accounts for the striations, so that we say skeletal muscle are striated fibers. Remember, together with cardiac muscles, they share one characteristics where we say they both contain striations. So when looking at now these different regions, we have like the A band, which is the first one on the sarcomere, and this section contains the entire length of a thick myosin filaments along with the overlapping portions of the thin actin filaments. These sections makes up the dark part of the striation pattern. So the skeletal muscles have striations thanks to the A bands. We also have the I bands, and the I band is the section of the sarcomere that surrounds the Z disc and contains only actin filaments. This section makes up the lighter part in the striation patterns. So the H zone, okay, the H zone is the section within the air band, okay, where we have the myosin, and it consists of the thick myosin filaments and its embedded M lines. Okay, so there are no thin filaments in this section in the H zones of the sarcomere when it's relaxed. Z score, again, the Z disc is the zigzag portion that marks the end of each sarcomere and allows for the attachment of actin filaments and the tinitin. So we have the sliding theory that normally helps explain the contraction mechanism of these skeletal muscles. You find that during a contraction, the thick myosin filaments located within the sarcomere bend, and the knobby head buds attaches to the thin actin filaments, sliding them down to the middle of the sarcomere. So this sliding of the filaments causes the sarcomere to shorten or to contract. So as this takes place along all the sarcomeres within the myofibrils, each muscle fiber contracts. So this ultimately causes the entire muscle organ to shorten or contract. And this is what is known as the sliding theory of muscle contraction. So we have, at least you can see, the relaxed sarcomere and a contracted muscle where they have joined the parts. They have joined the parts in this case. So what happens in this during this contraction can be summarized in that manner. Okay, so the myosin head, that is the thick filament, will attach to the actin filament. All right. Okay, so once this one has done this attachment, you can see it has attached here. This is now what is referred to as the working stroke. So the myosin head pivots and bends, pulling the thin filament towards the middle of the sarcomere. Remember, we need ATP. Okay, we need ATP. So ATP attaches to the myosin head, causing it to detach itself, and then the cycle will repeat. So for us to release this part, we must have the ATP to come and dislodge the thick filament from the thin filament, okay, so that we could have relaxation. Remember, in cases of death where there is no ATP production, okay, where there's no ATP production, so that means the body will be in contracted form, and that's where we normally have now the rigor mortis, where we have that, but the body is not able to relax because we don't have the ATP that has to be produced through normal aerobic respiration for it to dislodge the thick myosin filament from the thin actin filaments, okay, for us to have relaxation. Okay, guys, so up to this time we have covered the muscle cell. Remember, you can access the practice quiz in this section so that you can be able to answer one or two questions about muscle fiber. Okay, so the muscle nomenclature, we are saying that we normally name muscles based on different characteristics. We could have the muscle shape, where the names of the muscles will be reflecting the shape, or the location, where the skeletal muscles anatomical location or relationship to a particular bone often determines its name. You find that some muscles could indicate their position relative to the midline, which is related to the muscle location. So that's why we'll be having lateralis, which means a muscle towards the outside of the midline, and medialis towards the midline. Also, the location of the muscle attachment can also appear in its name. We'll also be looking at the muscle size, where we're talking of the maximus, about longus. All right, so names are often used to indicate the length, which is related to the muscle size. We also be looking at the muscle fiber orientation or fiber directions, and lastly, number of muscle origins or muscles in a group. So, starting with the first one, the location. This criteria, we find that muscles are named based on the region of the body where they are associated with. Like the frontalis muscles is found on the frontal bone. So, it's named so because of the location on the frontal bone, frontalis. Lateralis is also because it's found on the lateralis, on the side of the bone. Tibia anterior, okay, tibialis anterior, front of the tibia. Fibularis longus, near the fibula. Supra, above. Infra, below. Sub, underneath. Okay, so we could have at least some of these muscles, and they are named because of their location, and that is one of the criteria we use to name skeletal muscles. So we have the brachialis. This is situated on the arm. Okay, we also have brachialis. This is found on the forearm near the radius. Brachioradialis, guys. This guys. We also have muscles on in the leg, tibialis anterior, I think the one we have just mentioned, or the gastrocnemius. This is found in the calf region. Gastro referring to the stomach and semius referring to the leg. So it's named so because it's found on the leg. So it's gastrocnemius. Muscles of the abdomen, we have rectus abdominis. This is situated along the anterior abdomen, extending from the pubic bone to the sternum. Or rectus, you remember it means straight. Okay, so we have the straight abdominis, straight. All right. We also have the external oblique. This is positions on the lateral and the anterior parts of the abdomen. We have muscles of the neck. Remember, these muscles are being named so because of their location. Remember the sternocleidomastoid muscle it attaches to the sternum. So that is sterno. Then clavicle, that is cleido. Then the mastoid. This is the mastoid process of the temporal bone. So that's why we're referring to it as the sternocleidomastoid bone muscle. Muscles of the back also, we have latissimus dorsi. This one covers the largest area of the back. Latissimus refers to the widest and dorsi refers to the back. So it's named so because of its location. Erector spinae muscle, this is located on the spine. So spinae refers to the spine. Muscles of the shoulder, we have the deltoid. This is shaped like the Greek letter delta, covering the shoulder joint, okay? The deltoid muscles. Then you have the muscles of the pelvis. We have the iliopsoas. This is comprises of the iliacus and the psoas major, found in the pelvic region. Ilio refers to the ilium, whereas the psoas refers to the lumbar region. Muscles of the head, like the frontalis we had mentioned, then orbicularis oculi. Okay, orbicularis refers to the circular, oculi refers to the eye. So it's named so because it's found on the eye. Okay, it's circular and found on the eye. Muscles of the hand, like the thinner muscles, this is located in the palm near the base of the of the thumb. Thenar refers to the palm. Hypothenar, this is located in the palm near the base of the little finger. Okay, hypothenar refers to the below the palm. All right. The criteria number 2 is the shape. Okay, so muscles are also named based on the shape. Okay, we could be talking of these convergent muscles, circular muscles. Okay, like the fusiform type, parallel type, pennant type, triangular type, sphincter, and so on and so forth. Remember, the bipinnate means that the muscle has fascicles that are located on both sides of the tendon, right? While the circular or the sphincter, okay, sphincter or the sphincter, it means that they are concentrically arranged around an opening. Sphincter, circular. Convergent, these fascicles are extend over a broad area to converge on a common attachment site. While the fusiform, these are muscle that has fascicles that are spindle shaped to create large bellies. Multipelted, these are muscles that has a tendon branching within it. Whereas the parallel, these are muscles that extend in the same direction as the long axis of the muscle. So the pennate this is the fascicles that are arranged differently based on the angles to the tendon. So unipennate, this is muscle that fascicles are located on one side of the tendon only. Okay, So based on shape, we could have deltoid, that is triangular in shape, or trapezius muscle. This is trapezoid, okay, trapezium shaped, so we call it the trapezius muscle. We also have the rhomboid major or rhomboid minor. These are shaped like a rhomboid, diamond shaped. We also have the serratus anterior muscle. This is so shaped or serrated. That's why it's serratus anterior. We also have the quadratus lumbar muscle. This is square shaped. Scalene muscle. This is triangular shaped. And tibialis anterior muscle. This is located on the anterior side of the arm. Soleus. This is flat and broad. Gastrocnemius muscle. This is rounded and bulging, while the digastric muscle, this is double-bellied muscle. All right. The third criteria is the size, and here muscles are named based on their size. Okay, we have terms like maximus, which means largest, minimus, which means smallest, vastus, which is huge, longus, long, brevis, short, major, large, and minor, small. Okay, a good example is pectoralis major. It's a major muscle, right? So we have the gluteus maximus. This is the largest muscles in the buttocks. It covers a significant portion of the buttocks and is largest gluteal muscle. Gluteus medius. This is middle-sized muscle in the buttocks. It's located above the gluteus maximus and is the smaller in size compared to the maximus. Gluteus minimus. This is the smallest muscle in the buttocks. It lies beneath the gluteus medius and is the smallest of the three gluteal muscles. We have vastus lateralis. These are larger muscles on the lateral side of the thigh, and it forms the lateral aspect of the quadriceps femoris muscle group in the thigh. We have the vastus medius. These are large muscles in the medial aspect of the thigh. It forms the medial aspect part of the quadriceps femoris muscle group in the thigh. Vastus intermedius is a large muscles located beneath the rectus femoris. Forms part of the quadriceps muscles in the thigh. We have adductor magnus. Adductor magnus is a large muscles of the thigh responsible for adduction. Okay, located in the inner thigh among the adductor muscles. We have the tibialis anterior. It's relatively large muscle in the anterior compartment of the leg. It's found in the front of the shin and responsible for dorsiflexion and inversion of the foot. The pectoralis major, this is a large chest muscle and covers the upper part of the chest, responsible for the movements of the arm. We have the splenius capitis, is relatively large muscles in the neck, located deep in the back of the neck, responsible for rotating and extending the head. The fourth criteria is the direction of the muscle fibers. Okay, muscles are named based on the direction in which their fibers run. So we could have circular muscle, we could have so convergent, the fusiform, the parallel, the pinnate. Okay, so the circular, we find that these are ring-like band of muscles that surrounds a bodily opening and constrict it when contracted. A good example, we have the orbicularis oculi in the mouth, orbicularis oris in the mouth. We also have the convergent. This is widespread muscle fibers that converge to a common attachment site, like a good example becoming the pectoralis major muscle. We also have the fusiform, where we have a spindle-shaped muscles, thick in the middle and it is tapered at the end. The best example is the biceps brachii muscles. Okay, biceps brachii muscles. We have the parallel line of pull. So we have more range of movement and it's less powerful. A good example is you have the sartorius muscle. Okay, the sartorius muscle is, of course, the parallel muscle. It's also the longest muscle you should know. We have the pinnate. This is the oblique to line of pull. There's less range of movement. This is more powerful. We have three types here. We could have unipartite or bipartite or multipartite. So unipartite, a good example, have extensor digitorum longus, right? All right, and bipartite we have the rectus femoris. Okay, And multi-packet, we have the deltoid. The deltoid is the multi-packet. All right. We could also be talking of the fibers that run straight and down, and it's located beneath, in the anterior abdominal wall. It's a vertical muscle responsible for flexing of the trunk. We refer to it as the rectus abdominis. Okay, it can flex the trunk. The transverse abdominis runs horizontally across the abdomen, lies beneath the rectus abdominis, aiding in compression of the abdominal contents. We have the obliquus externus abdominis, external oblique. It runs obliquely at an angle downward and towards the midline. It forms the outermost layer of the lateral abdominal muscles, allowing the trunk to rotate and bend laterally. We also have the obliquus internal abdominis, the serratus anterior muscle, orbicularis oris, orbicularis oculi, and digastric muscles that we have. Remember, you have the circular, the sphincter-like, we have the extended tendon here, the pinnet. Then you have the convergent, like the pectoralis major muscle, and then you have the parallel muscles. All right, correct, guys. The fifth criteria is the number of origins or heads. Criteria, you find that muscles are named based on the number of origins or the heads. Best example is the biceps brachii. The biceps brachii is bi, meaning two, because it has two heads. Remember, if you try to look at it, you'll see there's a biceps brachii short head here, okay, just below the coracoid process. And we also have the biceps brachii, the long head, all right, the long head. Okay, so this is the brachialis. Okay, so muscle named number of origins. We could have the biceps where we have two origins, like the biceps brachii that we have already mentioned. We also have another example where we have the triceps, where we have three origins, okay, like the triceps brachii, and then the quadriceps, where we have four origin, okay, four origins. So the biceps brachii is located in the upper arm. It has two heads, the long head and the short head, and is responsible for flexing the forearm at the elbow. The triceps brachii has three. It's located in the upper arm also. It has three heads, the long head, lateral head, and medial head. It's responsible for extending the forearm at the elbow. The quadriceps femoris is located in the thigh. It consists of four heads. We have the rectus femoris, vastus lateralis, vastus medius, vastus intermedius. It's responsible for the knee extension, okay, knee extension, and is a powerful thigh muscle group, okay. The deltoid has three heads, guys. It covers the shoulder joint and it has three distinct sets of muscle fibers, often referred to as the anterior, lateral, and posterior heads. It's responsible for arm abduction. Okay, muscles responsible for arm abduction is the deltoid region. We also have the quadratus lumborum, and this one is located in the lower back. It has four origins: the iliac crest, we have the iliolumbar ligament, we have the lower border of the 12th rib, and the transverse process of lumbar vertebrae. It is involved in the trunk lateral flexion, okay, and stabilization of the spine. Sternocleidomastoid muscle, it has two. It extends from the sternum and the clavicle to the mastoid process of the temporal bone. Is responsible for the neck flexion and rotation. Okay, neck flexion and rotation. Biceps femoris is located in the thigh. It has two heads, and long head and short head, and is part of the hamstring group and is responsible for the knee flexion and hip extension. Okay, the hip extension. Number six criteria is the attachment points, and here muscles are named based on the attachment points, that is the origin and the insertion. We can look at an example of being the gastrocnemius. We have the origin, okay, the origin, okay, and the insertion points, okay, insertion points on the tendons, calcaneus, or the Achilles tendons, okay. So we have the gastrocnemius aponeurosis here. Or we have the medial head and we have the lateral head. Okay. So like the sternocleidomastoid, okay, it originates from the sternum, okay, and then the clavicle and inserts it in the mastoid. So sternocleido, it's originating from the sternum and the clavicle, then inserts itself in the temporal lobe. It divides the neck into anterior and posterior angles, triangles, okay. Pectoralis major, it originates from the clavicle, sternum, and upper six costal cartilages and inserts into the greater tubercle of the humerus. It's the main muscle of the chest and is responsible for various movements of the arm, as we had indicated. Rectus femoris, it originates from the anterior inferior iliac crest of the pelvis and inserts into the patella. It inserts itself into the patella and then to the tibial tuberosity via the patellar ligament. It is one of the quadricep muscles and is involved in knee extension. Tibialis anterior originates from the lateral condyle and upper two-thirds of the tibia and inserts into the first cuneiform and the first metatarsal bones. It's responsible for dorsiflexion and inversion. Okay, dorsiflexion and inversion. Gastrocnemius originates from the medial and lateral epicondyles of the femur and then inserts into the calcaneus via the Achilles tendon. It is the powerful plantar flexor of the foot and is inactive during activities like walking and jumping, gastrocnemius muscle. We have the brachialis. This originates from the anterior surface of the humerus and inserts in the ulna. It's the prime mover in elbow flexion. Temporalis originates from the temporal fossa of the skull and inserts into the coronoid process of the mandible. It's one of the muscles of mastication and is responsible for jaw closure. We also have the deltoid muscle. Okay, attachment points. You find that it originates from the clavicle and the acromion and the spine of the scapula, and then it inserts into the deltoid tuberosity of the humerus. It covers the shoulder joint and is involved in arm abduction. The Achilles tendon inserts into the calcaneus bone, is formed by the gastrocnemius and the soleus muscle, and is the strongest tendon in the human body and is responsible for plantar flexion of the foot. Okay, plantar flexion of the foot, Achilles tendon. Muscles are also named based on their action. Muscles are named because of the primary action, like the flexor digitorum longus. It flexes the toes at the ankle. It's located deep in the posterior compartment of the leg. Extensor digitorum, it extends or straightens the fingers and the wrists, okay? And it's located in the posterior component of the forearm. Abductor magnus, it abducts, it brings uh, the bones to the midline, okay? And it's located in the thigh. While abductor pollis longus, this one moves the thumb away, okay, moves away from the midline, okay. All right, we have the supinatus, okay, they supinate, okay, supinates the forearm. We have the vellar scapulae, this elevates the scapula, while the depressor anguli this one lowers or depresses the corner of the mouth, right? The pronator teres, this one pronates or rotates the palm downwards, while the masseter, this one elevates the jaw, so the jaw responsible for the chewing and jaw movement. Okay, the chewing muscle. The chewing muscle is the masseter muscle. While we have the tensor fasciae lati, this one tenses the iliotibial band and stabilizes the hip and the knee. We also have the combination of features where we have muscles being named based on the combination of their features. Like, for example, the quadratus, the lumborum. is a square shaped and is located in the lumbar region. That's why it's referred to as the lumbarum, quadratus lumborum. All right, we have the relative muscles being named because of their relative position. So muscles here are named because of their position relative to other muscles or other structures. Like the superior oblique is positioned higher above the oblique muscles. We also have the combinations of features where muscles are named based on the combination of their features. We have talked of the quadrapus lumborum. Okay. Then we have the special features. Muscles are named because of special features or unique features. Like the serratus anterior is named because of the shape. They are so like shaped muscles. Okay. This is the the serratus anterior muscle. Okay, you can see how it is shaped. It's forming a saw. All right. Okay, great. So these are the questions, guys. Okay, the review questions. Okay, guys, remember to get to the description section of this video and attempt all the free quizzes. Thank you so much and see you.